All right, welcome back to the gym, guys. We come to you live every weekday at 12:30 to talk about your health, your exercise, your nutrition, your mindset, and recovery. Recovery is extremely important. I know I hit on that every single time, but you have to find a way to get recovery in. That's one of the big lacking things. And although recovery is sorely lacked because the body doesn't differentiate between stress, you can have a fight with your spouse, you can have a tough commute to work with lots of traffic where you bitch the entire time. You could have put a bunch of crap in your body. You could have done a ton of plyometrics, or you could have an injury. It doesn't differentiate between stress, so you have to have that recovery in there. But there's some people that are just pushing. There's other people that are not doing enough of that. They got to go out of one of those things. They're not doing enough of the activity part that pushes them to get to where they want to go. So if you are not where you want to be, you have to up your activity level on some plane. So maybe you got to up your recovery game. Maybe you got to up your exercise game. Maybe you got to up your game in the nutrition sector, or whatever you want to call it, category, or you got to get clear with this up here. And today's topic is on this up here. And by the time I'm done speaking today, you are going to question everything. That's my hope for you anyway. Curiosity is an extremely powerful tool that people do not use enough of. Curiosity is this great mechanism that where skepticism can be a good thing, cynicism can be a little bit of a good thing if we really get clear with how we think of the definition of cynicism, where truth can be questionable. Okay, we're going to get into that. And how certain are you of everything that happens in your life? How certain are you? How certain can you get down to each little morsel? What do you really know? There's my first question today. Okay, what do you really know? The thing that you know for absolute certain that nothing can come in between you knowing this one fact, this one truth, this one thing that cannot be any other way besides the way that you think. What is it? At one point in time, people said that there was no possible way that you could ever defy gravity, and now we have huge metal objects that go across oceans. We defied gravity, right, through the laws of physics but still reigns true. We know that we can fly. Okay. There's other things too, like we're going to get into more of these as we go along, but make sure I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, and I'm going off of my notes, away from my notes, which is dangerous for someone like me. But we're going to talk a lot about curiosity, and I want you to keep an open mind throughout all of this, and make sure that if you are not pushing into each one of those four categories, you're missing out on something in life. To me, at the end of your life, what are you going to look back on? You're going to look back on all the important stuff. You're going to look back on all the really great experience. And the important stuff is going to be made up of all the really great experiences that you had. So to me, the number one reason that you keep yourself healthy is to have a better experience in this life that you get right here, right now. You can plan for the future right here, right now. You can learn from the past right here, right now. But you have to be right here, right now, because what you do now decides how your future is going to go. So I like it. Sit back, jump into the comments section. Actually, don't sit back. Don't get comfortable. Get up in this thing and jump into the comments section and tell me your perspective on curiosity. If you read the Curious George books, they almost put down the idea of curiosity, that you get in all this trouble if you go out and do all this stuff. And I always looked at Curious George and been like, man, he had this really great adventure. I'm glad that he was so curious. But if you really look at those books, I think that they were trying to squelch kids' curiosity. Don't do this. Don't do this. Keep that curiosity alive. Keep that curiosity as big and make it flame out as hard as you possibly can. If there is ever a test for curiosity, this is me getting really real, and we're going to get into this as we get into the definition stuff here. But I would not be a bit surprised if there was ever a test for curiosity. I would not be a bit surprised if I came out to be the most curious person in the world. I find everything outrageously fascinating. I cannot question things enough, it seems like sometimes. So don't sit back, get up in this, make comments, ask questions. I want to hear your perspective, because especially if your perspective disagrees with mine, because then I get to grow my perspectives. Then I get to grow my intelligence. Then I get to get a new experience. please don't deny me your perspective. Put it in the comments section. I can't wait till Facebook actually comes up with a way that you can actually implant a video and it'll pop up like oh man, this is hard, right over here somewhere in the corner, so that we can actually have a conversation on one of these things. It would be cool. But curiosity. Let's get clear on this thing. And before we get into that, let's define some of the words that we're going to use. Words are just containers, right? So if words are just containers, then how do you fill that container labeled love, hate, skepticism, cynicism, pessimism, truth, certainty, curiosity? How do you define these things? Oh man, Alex, you're a funny dude. How do you define these things? How do you define, for instance, ooh, that is hot and delicious. All right, so how do you define skepticism? If you ask Google, if you ask Webster, wherever you're going, it's going to be something around doubt as to the truth. Skepticism would be the theory that certain knowledge is impossible. The actual history of the word skepticism is based off of a group of Greek, philosophers. I find Greek philosophy very interesting. I find Stoicism very interesting. I find skepticism very interesting. I actually find cynicism pretty interesting, which we're going to get here into a second. But if we're going to have doubt as to the truth, if we're going to there's this thing around doubt as if it's a negative word. Doubt to me, if you look at it from a very objective standpoint, doubt is just a questioning. Doubt is just like, I don't know. What's the difference between I don't know and doubt? I don't really know. I don't look at doubt as a negative word. I don't think Stoicism rocks, man. It totally does. Stoicism is this really interesting topic. Any book that you read on Stoicism, usually extremely good. The original libertarians, right? But anyway, doubt as to the truth, skepticism. Skepticism is an extremely healthy thing. Skepticism gets wrapped up into what people think of as cynicism, pessimism sometimes, but skepticism is this very healthy, objective view of questioning the certainty of knowledge. So this is one of the things where, and this is going to come up as a reoccurring thing, the only thing, this is the only thing that I know for absolute certain is that I do not know. The only thing that I know for absolute certain is that I don't know. I don't know. If you would have asked 30 years ago, if you would have asked people about the cholesterol on eggs, they would have been like, no, don't eat it. That's terrible for you. 20 years ago, if you would have asked about red meat, they would have been, yeah, it'll kill you. And 10 years ago, it was, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe you should just cut out the egg yolk. And now they're like, actually, it doesn't matter. It's just hereditary. So, like, what are we going to find out next? I have a healthy skepticism around a lot of different things. You know, you're talking politics, news, science, even history books. You know, like with politics, it's like, what do you really believe? I mean, for me, the biggest insult that I could ever say about anybody, the worst thing that I could ever say about anybody is that they were a good politician. So politics, what can you really know? News, what version are you getting? You can jump from Fox to CNN and get two different stories on the same subject. So is the news really about what they say it's about, or is it just about entertainment? Because really, they're a TV station, they're a media station that sells advertising to be able to fund all their stuff, and in so the ratings decide how much they can actually charge the business that wants to run the advertisement. So are they a news station or are they an entertainment station? What drives the ratings? It's not going to be the news. News is boring. And then whose truth are we actually getting into? But back to cynicism, skepticism, doubt as to the truth. The second definition is the theory that certain knowledge is impossible. I think that like the knowledge of all is kind of how I imagine heaven to be. So not to get like outrageously deep with you guys here, but the way that I view heaven is that when you die, that there is no heaven and no hell really. I think you just become one with all, because if you go to nothing, if there is nothing, then there has to be everything. You're just kind of one with all. You're one with the soil, with the you and I are having this experience right now, this exchange, from me to you, and you see a separation from you to me. I don't see that separation with death. I think that the separation was there almost like as a vacation from the billions of years of eternity, the infinite number of time that we are going to experience. And when we die, we just go back to one. We are one with all, the great understanding. But I have no idea if that's accurate. And when I go there, I get to find out, a little curiosity that I can wait on. But cynicism, what's the definition of cynicism? I think that the way that we look at it is different than most people's container that they fill with the word cynicism is different than the actual definition of the word. So cynicism is an inclination to believe that people are motivated purely by self-interest. The cynics were also Greek philosophers, and I think that we tend to think of like a cynic as like a cynical asshole, like you're just being a jerk, like you just think everything's bad. Well, that's not the case. If that's not the actual definition of what was just stated here, right? An inclination to believe that people are motivated purely by self-interest. Of course you are. Of course you are motivated by self-interest. You had children. Why did you have a child? It wasn't to repopulate the earth. You had a child to experience the experience of having a child. There's nothing wrong with self-interest. Like self-interest is a really good thing. Why else? Why else would I make these videos? I make these videos to help people because it does help me. It does help me to help other people. It helps by me helping other people. It does help me. Just like you help somebody else, you feel good about it. You give your money to charity. Well, you got something in return. You didn't just get that wasn't a selfless endeavor. That was a selfish endeavor. You feel better and they got something out of it. It's a both. It's a symbiotic relationship. There's nothing wrong with self-interest. To pass on your genes, with the children thing. Yeah, I even to look at that if you're passing on your genes, if we look at where does it stop? The difference between we're all just we all come from one little sector, this tiny little area of Africa, and now we've all spread out over and over and over and over again. I think that there's a deep biological thing in your reptilian brain that where fight or flight, sex, and reproduction, all your survival mechanisms are in your reptilian brain, right? So I think that that's a deep, deep, deep driver and motivator that it's kind of like if we locked you in a hole, you'd go crazy because you were seeking social stimulus. Like sex is such a big thing because it's part of our nature to go out and try to reproduce. It's so tightly wound into our mental capabilities that we just kind of have to do that, or that we have this huge drive to do that. But if we can take our step and we can look at it objectively, then maybe it's not a big deal. Like the passing on of the genes thing is just how do I say this? It's still a selfish endeavor is what I was trying to say. What's this? The scientific method. Doubt is the scientific method, right? Yeah, doubt is totally the scientific method because like in science, you create a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis. If it comes back enough times, and you created some true stuff, right? I don't know if I really got very clear with the pass on your genes thing, but I'll give it a shot sometime. But cynicism, is there anything wrong with self-interest? I don't think there's anything wrong with self-interest. I think people use cynic as a negative word, and I don't think that it necessarily is. Pessimism. What about pessimism? This is another word that skepticism gets thrown in with. But skepticism is healthy. Cynicism can be healthy. Is pessimism healthy? Pessimism is a tendency to see the worst, lack of confidence in the future. Those are the two definitions. So number one is a tendency to see the worst. Number two is a lack of confidence in the future. So is pessimism a very good thing? I'm going to say that pessimism is probably not the greatest outlook on life, right? Like to not have that. I think I question the word confidence, and I question the good and bad of all scenarios. But the tendency to see the worst, man, if you're focused on the worst, you're going to get the worst. And if you have no confidence in your future, if you don't believe in your future, you don't believe in you, you're going to have a tough time. So pessimism gets wrapped into skepticism, gets wrapped into cynicism. I don't want to live pessimistic. I want to live my life full and to the absolute best that it possibly can. We already got into truth, but let's define this stuff. Truth, the quality or state of being true. And this, like the word truth really can get blown up into a very theoretical deal. But true. Okay, so the quality of state of being true is kind of like this bogus statement, right? It's like saying, what's it mean to not agree with someone or to disagree? It means to not agree with someone. Like it's kind of a bogus definition. But anyway, what's it mean to be true? True, the definition of true is in accordance with fact or reality. Now we're getting somewhere. But this is on perception. Okay, is truth based on perception of the scenario? So right now, there's like so in the United States anyway. I don't know about everywhere else. Alex, I don't know if it's that way over in the UK, but there's so much the liberal, conservative, libertarian, Democrat, Republican, just nonsense. Like everybody sees their angle, their truth of the matter, and I don't think that there can be any. It's like there's no room for seeing it any other way in their mind. It's like this pen is black and another person thinks it's white and I think it's gray. Well, we're all correct. Figure that one out. We are. Like if you think this pen is white and somebody else thinks this pen is black and I think this pen is gray and somebody else thinks this pen is silver and someone else thinks it's purple, in their mind, all of us are correct. Is it true? Is it true? Which one is it true to? It's true to all of us. And how are we going to test this now? How are we going to test this to figure out what the reality of the pen is? And then we're going to have to base it on something else that was based on something else that was based on something else. How are we going to get certain as to what this is? And are you going to break down and really destroy people's truths in the process? Yes, you are. Is that going to be painful? Oh yeah, it sucks to really get your truth demolished. Believe me, I've been there many times. When I was first starting into this mind stuff, I had a coach, and the coach would just call me out on shit right and left, and I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm still doing this stuff. I can't believe that it was outrageously painful, and I consider myself a person that deals with pain very, very well. I think it's really it's tough to have your truth challenged, to wrap your head around a new perspective. It's tough. It's tough. Okay, certainty. What about certainty? So certainty is a firm conviction that something is the case. Okay, so certain. All right, so let's go into what is certain. The definition of certain is to known. It means that it's known for sure. It's established beyond doubt. And two, specific but not explicitly named or stated. So it'd be like a certain, a certain person. Would be like a specific, not explicitly named or stated. So that's not usually the way that we're going to use it right here. We're going to use it as a known, for sure, established beyond doubt. It is certain that if I were to drop this pin, it's going to drop at 9.8 meters per second squared, because that's the gravitational pull of the Earth. We are certain of that. I'd say that's probably pretty accurate most of the time, right? But can we question things? Can we question how gravity works? Is there going to be some technology in the future that would defy what I just said? It would still be getting pulled on by 9.8 meters per second squared, but it might not fall. All right. Now, like I said before, the only thing I know for absolute certain is that I do not know. Okay. And when it gets into the politics stuff and I get into political conversations, I try to really steer away from, I know this to be case. I guarantee you it's certain. There's no possible way. But I do state my perspectives if people are curious to know. Most people usually walk away from the conversation thinking that I'm completely crazy, but I think that that's because they've been so hard sold on what the news sells you, Fox, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, whatever, what they're sold on. And I think that politics sold you on a certain thing. I think that everybody's being sold into a certain, or your parents sold you on a certain way of thinking. And to challenge this, because I think like a large portion of my life is spent as a Republican, and a large portion of my life spent as the more liberal Democratic, and a more large portion in a large portion of my life was spent as more of the libertarian side. I can tell you that I understand different aspects of each one and where they're going, and I try to understand as best I possibly can. And it's hard to see those perspectives from other people. And so me saying that isn't me trying to be elitist. It's me saying that I understand that it's hard, but you can do it too. It's something that more people could do more of, I think, anyway. I think. Rachel says, your political opinion can change every day. And I don't know if she means me in particular or she means everybody. But my opinions change on a daily basis about different things because I gain new perspectives all the time. And if you look at history books, what gets left out? Who is immortalized? If you look at Columbus, Columbus gets his own day was a few days ago. Well, Columbus never stepped foot in the United States of America, and really he was a pretty brutal dude that did some really nasty things and killed a lot of people. And he was wrong. For one, he only had the measuring tools at the time. I think they only had longitude or latitude. They didn't have the other, so it was really hard to find things. So he just stumbled upon these islands in Central America, I think it was, and he found them all by mistake. And one of the reasons that he even got immortalized as this is because when Italians came over, there was a fictional book about Columbus discovering America that no one had ever heard of, and the Italians made it like a big deal, and all of a sudden it's accepted, and it really took off. It was like what do you call those? What do you call those things? Oh shoot! What are the where no one really believes them, but they're the story that, oh, my friend in the other town knows this person that this happened to, like a legend. It's not a legend. Anyway, so history books, like what's left out, who gets immortalized, is it actually accurate? Do you believe in the movies? This is one of the funniest things to me. Like if you actually watch the movie, Invincible is one that pops up to me in terms of this department. So is it true that Vince Papale grabbed a football or blocked was it a punt or a field goal and ran it in for a touchdown? Yes, this did happen. However, he ran like 3 yards. In the movie, you would think that he ran 40 yards to get to the end zone and was getting run down by other players the entire time. No, is this, Rachel says, everybody. But in the movie, this was not accurate at all. He was not getting run down by anybody. He blocked the kick and ran it into a touchdown. It was like 5-yard run, 3-yard run, really, really short. What about the movie Braveheart? We know that the movie Braveheart was one of the most ridiculous, from a historical perspective, was just absolutely insane. Most Mel Gibson movies are apparently all, like if you look them up, you look at the historical records of what happened in the movie versus what actually happened in real life according to the history textbooks. Well, maybe we need to sit there and question, well, maybe Mel Gibson's right and maybe the history books are wrong, but I would guess that they're both a little bit wrong. And then like another thing is like, what are you offended by? This is one of those that I get a lot, is like, you think too much, you're selfish, you're a narcissist, you have too much fun, and you two are too in love. That's just like some of the silly stuff that you hear, or that I hear on a regular basis. Like, you think too much. And in my head, I'm like, what? Like, you don't think enough? Is that the case? Like, you're offended by me thinking too much because I question all of these things, and maybe you don't think enough. Maybe you don't think that you think enough. Or Adam, you're selfish. You're such a selfish jerk. It's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm taking care of me. The world could use a little bit more being selfish and accepting that that's not a bad thing. To take care of you first, so that you're better at taking care of the people that you care about, and you're a better service to the people that you care about, and you're better at everything that does make you great. If you're not a little bit selfish, you're going to have a problem because you give away everything to everybody else. Or you're a narcissist. Let's get clear. What does narcissism actually mean? Narcissism means self-centered, selfish, a grandiose view of self, craving admiration and winning, excessive, intense excessive interest in oneself. You should have excessive interest in yourself. You should be putting good information into your mind. You should be working extremely hard to make you the greatest you that you possibly can. If you're going to focus on one person, it better be you. You should be a little self-centered. One of the things that that's going to come out of this, I'm kind of running short on time here, but one of the things that's going to come out of this talk is that I always get when I get into these conversations is that, Adam, if you don't believe in anything, you don't believe in Christianity, you don't believe in any religion, you don't believe in non-religion, you do kind of believe in you're just all over the map and all these different perspectives. You're so black and white on every single subject, and what do you believe in? Because it sounds like you don't believe in anything. I believe in me, and that sounds pretty narcissistic. But the rest of the world could use a little bit more believing in their individual self. If you're going to believe in one person, it better be you. Man, I believe in people. I believe that down deep, you take away all the crud that sits on top of everybody, all the bullshit. You take Hitler, you take Stalin, you take, I don't know, what was that guy, Gaddafi or whatever his name was. You take the really bad people in history and you get down deep, down to the a soul level with them. And I think you find a very beautiful person. But instead, it got covered up by blanket upon blanket upon blanket of bullshit. And so they left the world, and not so great about it. What they did, they left the world with some pretty harmful acts that were not good. Not good at all. They were very bad, right? But I believe that down deep, people are incredible. And the more that you can pull away those layers of yourself that are just bullshit layers that are just a front to yourself, especially, you can have a front to the rest of the world all you want. You can live your life however you want. That's up to you. This show isn't about me telling you how to live your life. It's about me providing some perspectives for you to use if you like. But I think, from my perspective, I believe that every single person has this front that is stopping them from seeing who they really are and how beautiful they really are, because they've got this layer of hell stuck in between them, a layer of fear that they can't see through, so they can't experience the joy of being them. They can't break down that status quo that keeps them in the life that they don't want to live in order to. And if they were to break down that wall, they could live the incredible life that they're meant for. So that's what I believe in. I believe in me. And I do believe in you once you start breaking down that wall, breaking down that bullshit, breaking down all those things. So if you stuck this video out until now, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. If you think this video is rubbish, please share this video and tell everybody why it sucked. And if you love this video, please clap the share button. Obscurity is Grit Gem's biggest issue. Please, if there's a few things out of this video, I realize that skepticism and cynicism, if you look up the definition and you really ponder on them, can be very, very good things, especially skepticism. Skepticism is extremely healthy, especially in today's world with Photoshop and everything else that you can imagine. And we actually know, research has proven, I said no and proven, I kind of caught myself doing it right there, right? That eyewitness accounts are not going to be able to be used in the court of law anymore, because we've found that our minds trick us. So skepticism is extremely healthy. Pessimism isn't cynicism, and it's not skepticism and cynicism are not pessimism. I think truth is based on perception. True, whose truth? Your truth, my truth? What's honest? What's real? What's certain? Because the definition of certain is to know for sure, established beyond doubt. But doubt is a really good thing. It makes you question things. It improves your curiosity. It makes it go through the ceiling. And the only thing I know for absolute certain, and I even have to doubt this, the only thing I know for absolute certain is that I do not know. I watch politics, and I don't know. I don't know what's real and what's not real. I watch the news. Who knows what's real? CNN's pouring garbage out there. Fox is pouring garbage out there. They're all doing it to increase their ratings because they need to sell advertisements. So whose truth is it? Whose perception is it? What is it? Is it just entertainment? Yeah, that's what I think it is. What will science find tomorrow that proves everything that we know now to be inaccurate? the history books? Who's left, like what's left out? Are the movies accurate? Are you really going to sit around and believe in movies? And can you start questioning the things that people put you down about? You know, the things that you are offended by, the things that, that hurt your feelings. Are those things worth your time? Are they worth your efforts? Are they worth your energy? And I'm going to say no, because it probably means you're doing something right. So what do I believe in? I believe in me, and I believe that you can believe in you too, and that you should dig through and really question everything about your being. And believe me, I'm going to do the same. So thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you stick through these. Please slap the share button, and if you like this video, hit the like button too. So thanks for being here. I will see you on Monday. Yeah, Monday.